my beloved community, my fellow ministers. Feels good to be back in the pulpit with all of you. Yes. So let's hear it. Let's hear a big yes on three. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Now let me hear that whoa. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. If you hear something good today, let me hear you say yes. And if you hear something that doesn't quite land with you in your heart, say that whoa. And I do hope that you keep this tradition going. You are a dynamic congregation, and I love hearing you while I'm up here. It helps me react to you, and it may seem like an organized thing, but there's actually a measure of chaos in it. And I like it. I also like, yes, and I also like that single gesture or word or phrase because it gives me something to react to. Thanks. And helps me like rethink an idea in real time, so it's very helpful. I noticed that in the circles that I travel in and the institutions I serve, the societies that claim me as member, there is this obsession with order, an obsession with categories and process and taxonomy and protocol. And while so much of those structures help to guide us to answers quickly, so much can happen to interrupt the process. Maybe an unforeseen variable, right? An unaddressed concern, a random occurrence. And I believe that in our attempt to control a chaotic situation, that behavior is a product of our condition to think that order is good and chaos is bad. When in reality, chaos and order are both amoral, not immoral, but amoral, meaning it's stripped of its goodness or badness, and it just is. That the chaos of the Big Bang that happened at the beginning of our universe was a wonderful, beautiful, majestic occurrence that gave us so much of creation. That there's a wide open sky, a lush hills in Oneonta, the lakes of upstate New York. They were given to us through this violent shifting of space dust, and light and gravity and heat, the coolness of space, the magnetic forces that hold our atmosphere, and the breakdown and the building of molecules and atoms and cells in our body happening widely in and around us. It's beautiful. Divine chaos. This is what makes us. Yes. Chaos theory teaches us that no matter how precise the recipe, how detailed the protocol is, that one variable or that shift in the temperature, that tiny drop in air pressure, a seemingly innocuous rip in the seams can send a project into chaos. And some of these changes are so undetectable that it's often interpreted as random. And so chaos theory wants us to shift that perspective on what causes chaos. It doesn't teach us that the universe is random, but sensitive to changes. Yes, sensitive to the wings of a butterfly, sensitive to how someone hears a word or interprets a situation, that even the smallest thing can cause massive shifts, that even a prayer or a meditation or a spell, when it's whispered, can bring about miracles. Yes, chaos is not the enemy, my friends. It isn't the monster in the deep water. It isn't the void or the darkness. It is happening all around us in our lives, impacting us at every level. And those who have lived through a sudden diagnosis, an unexpected loss, an encounter with an ICE agent, knows that life doesn't behave in these clear, linear forms, that life is chaos, life is a storm. And just as the sacredness of chaos moves through our life, we can observe its tragedy, its strangeness, its ability to rock the foundation of our communities. Yes. But my fellow ministers, Unitarian Universalism has an approach to answering chaos when it appears at our front door. So you're going to join me for seminary this morning. It's a nice little class here we got. And we're going to talk about emergent strategies. Yes. Emergent, whoa, huh? That's a new one, huh? Let's talk about that. Emergent strategies is based off the thought partnership with Adrienne Marie Brown and how communities can respond to social justice issues. The goal of this spiritual framework is to create the flexibility to adapt to change, the importance of building relationships with each other, and most importantly, letting go of control. Whoa. The first idea is when considering emergent strategy is this. Oh, all of our interactions, no matter how small, are important. Just as the fluttering of a butterfly's wings can cause a tornado, remember that an opinion, an idea, a gesture expressed in the right way, in the right conditions, can actually cause shifts in cultures like ours. Yes. During my time in Judson Memorial Church in New York City, the Reverend Donna Scapper would talk to me about a term she coined as the halo effect. In its simplest definition, it's the ability of a nonprofit, in this case a church, to maximize the impact of a single dollar. That there are these measurable ways to trace how a single dollar can provide training to a group of people, feed an individual, shelter a family for 3 days. This one act of placing spare change in a collection plate can be amplified through a church to do the most good in their neighborhood. Second, and we all know this, change is constant. That we can prepare for an event as much as we want, but remember that those plans could change, right? When a preacher gets sick, how do we fill the pulpit, right? When we miss a deadline, who do we talk to about an extension? When hardware breaks, how do we repair it? It's one thing to make a protocol when conditions are ideal, but it's even more valuable to be responsive to change. Third, yes, life is busy. People live full and rich lives, and when the work is important, when it affects a community in impactful ways, there is a tendency for people to see value in the sacred work of caring for one another. That comes with forming trusting relationships with the people in your community. It comes from caring about who goes hungry, who is unsheltered, who suffers under the weight of oppression. Developing these relationships compel us to do better for each other. And will there be failure? Yes. Failure is a natural condition. The beauty of failure is that it brings us lessons to grow from. And don't be the person who points out failure with a willingness to help to provide solutions. Pointing out failures without an outlet for growth only serves to cause guilt and shame. And that is deeply frowned upon in our denomination. If you operate in dispensing guilt and shame in the presence of failure, then there are other denominations who would love to have you, okay? They would love it. We are Unitarian Universalists. Say that with me. We are Unitarian Universalists, and UUs aspire to lift each other up. Yes. Finally, I think most importantly, quantum physics teaches us about something called the observer effect. That just in the act of observing something helps it grow. Just by giving something time and attention, its potential rises. That preparing for a thing is not as important as being present to it. And so, my fellow ministers, this morning, I'm here to remind you that chaos will appear in and outside the walls of this congregation. Feel your feelings about it. And remember that this community has endured 150 years of chaos and calamity. Remember that so much of this community's ability to survive has come from its adaptability and the richness of the human spirit. That our love, our trust for this community will inevitably cut through the noise of chaos. Amen, friends, and blessed be.